Hey, everybody, it's Shep Hyken back with another great interview with Matt Gillin of Relay Network, the CEO of Relay. And we're going to be following up on our last interview that we just recently had. And that explained a lot about what Relay Network is all about. In short, we are going to provide the customers, Relay's customers, and actually Relay's customers are major healthcare and financial service institutions. They provide information, content, and a delivery system very similar to what you would get on social media. If you go to TikTok and you love how they personalize the experience by giving you exactly the kind of video you like, and you go to the next one and the next one, every one of them seems to be of interest to you. Well, they've managed to get that through watching your patterns, understanding what your likes and dislikes are. And that's exactly what happens in business. When you can do that, you achieve a personalized experience that engages more with the customer and gets them to want to do business with you. Matt, welcome back for part 2 of our interview series.
Shep, thanks for having me back. Looking forward to it.
Well, so what I thought I'd do for this one is talk a little bit about social media and how social media compares with the experience that people are getting right now with your platform.
Sure. So a really interesting stat, we talked about it before the meeting, I'll share it with your viewers. Consumers spend 1,300 hours on social and or feed technology. So think about that for a minute.
1,300 hours a year over their lifetime.
A year.
A
1,300
year.
hours a year.
Let's break that down for a moment. 1,300. Let's just divide it by 50. Okay. You could do the math probably better than I can. What does that come out to on average for a week? 20 something.
26.
26 hours a week on social. That is an unbelievable amount of time.
Yeah.
Wow. And so just my point we were talking about a moment ago when I was doing an intro on this, a company coming in to push a message to a customer, if it's truly a traditional marketing message, doesn't look anything like a social feed. Okay. Doesn't look anything like social media. You've created this solution that looks an awful lot like social media, providing content in the same form of an Instagram, TikTok type of feed.
Yeah, I mean, look, they don't spend 1,300 hours there for no reason. They spend the time there because the content interests them. And the big opportunity that we see for brands and businesses are, what if you could have a similar technology and could post content that was interesting and relevant to your customers, so that you'd get engagement that looks something like social. And we're seeing that today. We're seeing that businesses can dramatically increase the amount of engagement with their customers and the right type of engagement that builds more profitable relationships. And that's what's so magical about feeds, and in particular, retrofitting feed technology for the business and customer relationship. And so it's really been powerful in the amount of engagement and the type of engagement that yields business outcomes, yields more profitable customers, yields customers that stay longer.
So is this the type of thing that can only be, it's affordable if you're a major enterprise type brand, or can smaller and medium-sized businesses get this type of engagement platform with their customers?
So the platform's designed to be really easy to use. So we focus on enterprise and mid-sized business, but think about it. Selling into enterprise is not easy. And very often, departments within the enterprise are bigger than small businesses. So it's very easy for people to come in and use the platform to create feeds down to the individual. So the software is very easy. It doesn't require a lot of resource, but it's primarily targeted today towards enterprise and mid-sized business, or departments within those businesses who use it to get the right type of content out to their customers.
Do you ever have any of your clients use this as a strictly internal tool for their employees to be trained, understand what's going on with the company?
Yeah, it's a great question. So one of the things I love about being an entrepreneur is the surprises you get by listening to the market. So a number of our clients, one of the country's largest cable company, for example, had been using us to communicate to their customers, and they were on an offsite and they used the tool on the offsite. Then all of a sudden HR got involved and said, hey, we'd love to communicate benefits We'd love to communicate company information and feed it to the customers. And so we are seeing a big opportunity, particularly around benefits to employees.
I think that's a huge opportunity. I think about how my daughter works for a nice sized company, and she had to choose the type of 401k retirement plan, how much she wanted to put in, how much they're going to match. In addition to that, they had different programs for her healthcare benefits. She had no idea what to do. But once she finally figured it out, it would be really interesting for her to get more and more information, to deeper dive into her specific need versus a general portal for all questions to be answered.
Well, just imagine if she receives a text message, she clicks on a link, and on her feed, how old's your daughter?
Great question. You threw me for a loop there. How about 27? I know that's pretty accurate. Like
my
down to
lucky
the
number, by the way. That is my lucky number. So
good.
she's 27. That's when the lights come on, by the way, Shep, when you really start to take control of your life. And what if her feed was able to say, hey, people like you tend to make these type of decisions, or if you're considering X, Y, and Z. So all of a sudden, the employer is changing the nature of that relationship. And the benefits company is changing the nature of the content they can deliver so that people can make better investment decisions, better benefit decisions. Really exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'd say that's very exciting. All right, so let's get back. I love that it can be used internally, but let's get back to the external customer, the customer that's paying for the goods and services, the different companies that you represent. Again, I know your focus is healthcare and financial services. So what fascinates me in looking at all the statistics, the stats and facts, and things that we've talked about in the past is that your customer base, from the standpoint of demographic age specifically, is growing dramatically. And we can throw that back to just 2.5 or so years ago when this thing called COVID hit us, shut so many people down and forced people to get to a website or go online. And people that had never experienced anything like a feed are all of a sudden engaging with different social platforms and different companies at a level. I believe that the pandemic forced the adoption of, nothing was new, nothing was invented because of that. It was already there. It's just the adoption rate's higher. And I know that plays right into the different customers that you have that use your product.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. So we mentioned that we serve financial services and healthcare. When the pandemic hit, branches were shut down. So people weren't going into branches. How are you going to communicate instantly to your whole base to let them know branches are shut down, to let them know, okay, your money's safe, to let them know how they can access, to let them know all the things that they wanted to know? How do you get it out to them? You saw a major spike in call center calls.
Huge spike.
Right? Huge spike. Now, we had a client who was using us in a very small way for a particular product group. They decided to load every single customer and give them a feed. And then they could deliver out both general and personal information across that feed to help educate and guide you. And imagine if you're a customer and you now have the COVID feed built to educate you and guide you through this historically challenging time. And that's a real example. So 11 million feeds. One customer, 11 million feeds over a weekend, and they started to communicate down to the individual.
Wow. And they could probably segment to start with the individuals who are just straight up checking accounts plus their home loan and mortgage through the bank, plus whatever other types of products that they were using from the bank. And they could start to really, do a true, I know we talked about personalization versus personalized, but you start with personalization, understanding who the customers, what they want, and then give them a deeper dive based on their specific needs and probably what seems to interest them.
Well, they know who uses the branch system more than others. So you start with them, and their feed's different than another feed for people that maybe don't use the branch system and are using different other types of products. So really, really interesting, the impact that COVID had on accelerating the adoption of feed technology. When I spoke to you 2 years ago, we had about 30 million feeds in the marketplace. Okay. 2 years later, we have 80 million feeds. 80 million feeds. Just to put that in perspective, there's 350 million people in the US, give or take. We have 80 million of them unique on customer feeds. And COVID, to your point, was instrumental on letting businesses recognize there are new tools past just email, past just apps or portals. There are new tools, Zoom, another good example, that we can utilize to more effectively communicate, and it's been really powerful.
And when you communicate well with your customers, you create a relationship with them. They begin to trust you more. Part of what customers love, it's interesting. We do these workshops, customer service workshops, and we ask people the companies they love and why they love doing business with them. We always get people to say, oh, we love Amazon. And we'll ask, why do you love Amazon? And again, we get this response, and that they love that the moment an order is placed, they get an email that says the order's placed. Then they get an email that says it's shipped. Then they get an email that shows it being delivered. What they don't see is the video email that shows the person stealing the package from the porch, but we won't get into that. I'm just kidding, obviously, just kidding. But seriously, they get, and this is what these people say they like about that experience. They don't love getting emails. They love getting information. And as a result, they feel totally in control of that, even though they don't have much control. When you do a feed that's personalized, it's giving them the information that they want, a truly personal experience, you're giving them control of their situation. You're creating a smarter customer, somebody that will trust you more as a result of that. And that's huge. I want to read a stat that I think is a really important one. This has been around for a while. Bain and Company, and the gentleman that started the Net Promoter Score, NPS, very powerful. This is something that he had to say. A 5% increase in customer retention has been found to boost profits by 25 to 95%. And that stat was quoted in Harvard Business Review. And you got it anytime you do the Harvard Business. I'm just mentioning Harvard makes us all sound smarter, right? But I'm not saying this is going to affect you the same way, but if you can increase loyalty, and the way to do that is to increase the engagement, increase the trust factor. It's exactly what your feeds do.
Yeah, McKinsey says that companies that excel at engagement generate 40% more revenue, and highly engaged customers are 5 times as valuable as those who are dormant or not engaged. And that makes sense as humans. And you touched a little bit earlier, there's this mindset of businesses and customers, don't spam me. No, show of hands who like spam. Nobody likes spam. Nobody likes a barrage of emails into an inbox. What's cool about feeds is you get to discover content. They push out a message to you, and when you click on the link, it's like someone pushing you to TikTok or social. All of the content there, you can scroll and decide what's relevant. So if you think about it, the amount of engagement goes through the roof. One message, click, multiple bits of content to discover and engage with. And what happens overnight is the amount of engagement and the quality of engagement for these businesses goes through the roof. And therefore, more customers are engaged and more profitable. So the impact to the bottom line is staggering.
Wow. Well, we're out of time, but I think we've covered an awful lot of material. It's been another great interview. By the way, we're going to give people a hint right now of what the next interview is going to be about. It's about customer dormancy. What happens when the customer seems to go to sleep on you and we can't wake them up? Or can we? We could probably do it by engaging them in the right way. Matt, thanks again for these great insights. Really appreciate you sharing them. Really, it's been a great interview again.
Thank you, Shep. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody, that wraps it up. We'll be back, and the next time it'll be about customer dormancy. So please be sure to come back, tune in, take lots of notes. Until that time, this is Shep Hyken reminding you to always be amazing.